Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm just making a quick impromptu video. This happens to be the obelisk that's in New York City in Central Park, and it was donated, of course, by Egypt to New York City. And over here you have the Met Museum. Was just there the other day. Beautiful inside. But I just love making these sorts of videos. I've been doing them for years. And it's just exceptionally beautiful in Manhattan here this time of year. A lot of the trees have lost some of the blooms on them, but just really, really pretty. So anyway, I wanted to give you a video as to where we are in the Ultimate Cycler program and have you think about a few things, and hopefully some of my insights here will give you a little bit different perspective on your business. And as I come up with things and as I pass through things, I'm going to relate them to what I'm seeing in Central Park. And I just call it reality MLM. You know, as you see me huffing and puffing, I'm actually walking my dog this morning. You'll see people running back and forth. Now this happens to be about 6:30 in the morning in New York City, Eastern Time. And, you know, regarding exercising and getting out in your business, you have to have energy to be able to build your business. You know, you have to get out, you have to exercise. My favorite time is getting out in the morning and getting out in Central Park or somewhere else. There you go. I love New York. And there's a statue, I think it's Alexander Hamilton. But, you know, getting out and exercising, get the blood flowing, get yourself in the right frame of mind. And I actually love to go to Central Park or just out and see some green and something other than just buildings. And I do my best thinking at that time for whatever reason. I guess it's the blood flow and whatever. But who cares? It just happens, you know, and I think my best thoughts, and I listen to my inspirational tapes and so on my phone. Or I'll watch a video or something like that to get myself going in the right frame of mind for the day. So whatever you do to get yourself in that right frame of mind when you're getting started in your day, do it. And I don't want to hear people saying, oh, I don't have time to do the business. There's nobody out there busier than me. I'll tell you right now, there isn't. And, you know, people like the leaders in the program, Dr. Stan and Dr. Parson, do you think they're very busy? Of course they are, but they find they find time to do the business, and they find time to do more in the business. And, you know, I've done many videos in Ultimate Cycler about maximizing your time and maximizing your prospecting ability through using the different tools that are available out there. The lead scraper being one, the phone prospector, which is the phone broadcasting system, being the other. And there's 100 more. I cover that in my book, MLMBlackBook.com, MLMBlackBook.com. And that covers 101 ways to do the business. So, you know, it is your business. You made a commitment to do your business. Well, take it seriously like a business and use the tools and the systems out there. Now, if you're lean and green in the business or in just marketing in general, hey, there's going to be a learning curve. There is. That's where you have to lean on your upline to do that and to help you and to guide you and get on the calls and the trainings and the different things out there. But they're all available. But, you know, when I started in 1990, they weren't available. You know, I had to travel 6 hours just to get a training. And here, they just press a button on YouTube or something and you'll find information that you want to know. So, anyway, back to my story about getting some exercise and getting out there. Get the blood flowing, get your exercise muscles going, and get in shape, because it is a marathon in any business, any online business, network marketing, and so on. Now I'm going to turn around and go this way. This is the horse path, and we're going up here towards the reservoir, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Reservoir, but I'm going to go around the outside because I can't bring my dog up there, unfortunately. So, you know, get those exercise muscles going as far as your business muscles, And that includes feeding your brain positive information, positive materials. Get on the Motivator app that we have. And that'll be out in Android and iPhone any day. So get on the Motivator app that we have, because we have tons of positive information in there to help you get in the right frame of mind. Let's face it, the world is negative. Everything's negative. Negativity sells. And it's just bad. It's just bad. Block that stuff out. Get people out of your life that are negative and bringing you down and that are not positive, and people that you want to strive to be like and to have the lifestyle that they have. Model yourself after that if that's what you need. So, and the other thing is with the exercise, I just mentioned exercising your brain, but exercising your business muscles means getting out there, making phone calls. I mean, you go to a gym and you start exercising, you're going to be sore, right? If you haven't done it before. It's the same thing when you're making phone calls, right? You're making phone calls to people, you're going to be sore. You're going to have those anxiety muscles popping up and the butterflies in your stomach muscles popping up, right? Because who likes to make cold calls? Nobody does. But with the lead scraper, it's not necessarily cold call. These are people that are in the network marketing industry or whatever leads you've scraped. So, sorry about the bouncing. And, so this way you use maybe a script or something and you refine it over time, and you're going to have people that'll say no, obviously, but you're going to have people to say yes. So, you're exercising those prospecting muscles, and before you know it, guess what? Those muscles aren't sore anymore, and it becomes muscle memory. And when you're prospecting, you're out to dinner, you're prospecting people. When you're out doing your daily errands, you're prospecting people. You're talking to people. You're using the sizzle cards that Dr. Stan talks about all the time, that I talk about all the time. Guess what? I'm in the park, I have them in my pocket because I never know who I'm going to bump into, and I never know the environment I'm going to be in where I leave a card. I just went to a restaurant the other day and I talked to the waiter, just talking, small talk, and I said, hey, you have a really nice personality, blah, 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 whatever. And when I paid the bill, I left it in there, and guess what? He called me up. So I would have never gotten that lead if I hadn't done that. So there's always ways in every business environment and every lifestyle to squeeze out time to do your business. So I have no time is not an excuse. So let's go a little bit further here, because we talked about exercising your mind, exercising your muscles, right? Your prospecting muscles, and physically being fit to be able to be and have the endurance to build your business. So the other thing we talk about a lot is your belief. Okay, we talk about it all the time, and I know so many people, they kind of poo-poo it and they're like, whatever. Goal setting, whatever. But your belief in the products, in the business, in the company, Multiplex Systems, in your sponsor, in your upline has to be firm. And, that comes just from you. I mean, we can't give you the belief, but one of the ways you get the belief is you get on the calls, whether or not you have someone there. All the calls, right? We send out emails all the time. We have Monday through Thursday calls. We have calls on Saturday for different groups. And I mean, there's probably 5 to 8 calls a day from different groups going on all the time. And you plug into those to be able to energize yourself and get that belief. You use the products in the back office. I know they're digital products, but you have to use the products in the back office to say, hey, these really do have value. So you know what you're talking about when you're talking to people about the products. Get yourself on the lead capture page system. It's sometimes mind-boggling the amount of members that we have in the program, and so many people haven't even activated their lead capture page system. And we talk about it all the time. Don't send people right to the website because you're not capturing any information. Send people to the lead capture page system that you have, which is free, and that'll grab the information, name, phone number, and so on, email, And this way, the system will do the follow-up for you. The fortune is in the follow-up. How many times have you ever heard that before? Well, it's so true. And you could go into the back office of the lead capture page system, if you have the Pro system, which I highly suggest you get, and you can broadcast an email to those people, right? In addition to all the autoresponder messages that go out to them. So that, now, the other thing in creating belief is using the auto webinar system. It's, you know, $10 a month. I mean, come on. $9.95 a month. If you pay for 6 months, you get a month free. You pay for a year, you get 3 months free. I'm like, hello. And on all the calls, we're talking about how great that system is. And essentially what you're doing is you're having a presentation that we did in Orlando on the system. You can customize it in just about any way you want. You go in your back office, on the left-hand side, it'll say Auto Webinar. Click on that. Watch the Auto Webinar, experience what it does. And in that Auto Webinar, I go over the different things that it does. And the different things you can customize if you want, or you can use the stuff we already have there. Now, here we're coming up. This is beautiful over here. This is the reservoir I was talking about. On the left-hand side, or I'm talking about back here in the back, that is 5th Avenue. And that's about 79th Street right there, going up to 96th Street. And that's actually where I live, in that area over there. And pretty nice area in New York City, I would say. And it's just a beautiful reservoir and running track around here. And this is one of my favorite areas because this is the time of year that the cherry blossoms come out. I'll get back to my story in just a minute. I just want to show you this. Let's go around this way. You know, sometimes you have to go through your business and stop and smell the flowers. Where was that in some kind of movie, right? Sometimes you have to stop and smell the flowers. It's all, you know, it's about work, but it's also about enjoying life at the same time, and lifestyle, and helping other people, and you know, that's all part of your mental clarity, if you will, and your mental muscles. Because there's nothing that's going to replace helping other people in the program, and we say that all the time. And it's not just a saying, but it's really what I believe in, and I'm trying to have that permeate the whole program. I love this area. Watch this. See the guy over there sitting down? He's taking pictures of this area, and many weddings have been taken over here. It looks like it's snowing with all the leaves coming down from the cherry blossoms. So. You know, so you have to stop and smell the flowers, and you need to help other people. And that's what this whole program is about, is helping other people through duplication and so on. So let me get into some other items I want to talk about today as I kind of slow down so you can enjoy this over here. Duplication. We talk about it all the time. So as you get out there and you start to talk to people, you start to use the system to be able to build your business. Okay, you're going to start having people sign up. So it's okay to have people sign up, but it's not just about having people sign up. It's about what people do after they sign up. So let's say that you sign up, I'll just give you a number, 10 people, okay? Let's say that you sign up 10 people. Not every one of those people are going to do the business, right? We all understand that. Not everyone's going to do it. Not everyone's going to engage. Let's just say 6 of those people actually start doing something. Let's say you're starting in the business and you're lean and green and you really don't know what to do, how to do it, and so on. Maybe 3 of those people engage and start to duplicate. Because, you know, at the beginning of your business, that's going to happen. So, but anyway, the duplication starts and those people start to duplicate the same thing. Then you got yourself a business that starts to work. Look at that. Oh, man. I just love it over here. Just tell me this doesn't make your day better, right? When you come over to see things like this. You know, the world is such a wonderful place. And if you have a place like this where you live, go get them. Go get them. New York City is not just buildings, it's some very beautiful areas that you can go to and experience as well. So, you're building your business and you're trying to duplicate that process because at the beginning, you're going to do a lot of work that you're not paid for. So later on, as you have duplicated your business and you have your team out there working, you're going to get paid for a lot of work you don't do. So isn't that the way it is with any business? Entrepreneurship, starting a business, any business. The beginning, you're working like a maniac to get your business off the ground and get that engine started. And Dr. Stan gives a lovely story about the rocket ship, that it's, boosting 98% of its energy just to get out of escape velocity. But once it gets and breaks through that, it uses virtually no energy at that point after that, right? But the problem is that most people quit before they get through that escape velocity, right? Most people quit an inch from the finish line. And you're wondering if it's going to work. You're wondering if you did the right thing. You're wondering, you're thinking, you're psyching yourself out. And that's where it comes to belief. Because if you join the business just because of the money, that may not be enough to get you over into escape velocity. Because it's not just about the money. It has to be something beyond the money. And that's where we're going into goals and things like that. What are your goals? What are you doing besides the money to be able to get through whatever negativity's out there, all the no's you're going to come up and have, and so on. And all the days you wake up in the morning that you don't want to get out of bed and you don't want to prospect, and somebody you thought joined and quit, and somebody you thought was going to join and never join, and things like that kind of weigh on you a little bit sometimes. How are you going to get through that if it's just about the money? It has to be something beyond that. Well, if you have 10 no's, but then you have one person that signed up before those 10 no's that starts to engage, that's going to make up for so much more. And if you maybe have your goals as your family, education for your children, helping other people, donating some of the money, anything, whatever your goals are, but something beyond the money. Dr. Stan says all the time, it's the start that stops most people. So don't let the start stop you. The beginning of your business is very important. And you have to get through all those different things and get that belief there and so on. And let's say you're in the business for a while when you're sponsoring new people. The beginning of their business is very important. Please understand that. You have to get them engaged very quickly after they sign up. Otherwise, the negativity will start in with other people. They'll have somebody say no. They say the wrong thing. They try to explain it. That's what most people do, is they try to explain it to people when they can't explain it themselves, and they blow their contacts out of the water. I told a story the other day on the conference call that I had a relative ask me about it, and I can explain it with the best of them. Obviously, you know that. But I didn't. I said, hey, write this number down, call this number, that'll explain it for you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Call me back. I could have explained it, but I didn't, because I understood that I'm training them. From the moment I talk to them, I'm training them. You understand what I just said there? From the moment you first talk to a prospect, which is somebody interested or possibly interested in business, maybe, you don't know, you're sorting and sifting, but you're training them. Whether or not they get started in your business, you're still training them. And if I would have went into a 20-minute dissertation about everything, they would have thought that they had to do the same thing. And they can't do the same thing, and they're like, God, it's too difficult. So I'm trying to impress upon them how simple the business is. That they can do it too. They can fit it in their schedule. And all they have to do is get people on a call, just like I did with them. All they have to do is get people on their lead capture page system. All they have to do is get people to watch their auto webinar, etc., etc., and not explain it. Well, they're like, well, what if they ask me questions? I said, you just act excited. Well, maybe let me rephrase that. You don't act excited, you're excited, right? you just be excited, because you should be excited. And you just say, listen, I want you to see it through your eyes. I don't want you to see it through me explaining it, and I'm going to do you a disservice by trying to explain it in 30 seconds. You need to see the whole thing, because if you're sending them to the auto webinar system, it's a multimedia presentation, and me just telling you in a minute or two is going to do you a disservice as well as me. So, something to that effect, and deflect the question in that manner. Or, I just got started. I can't really explain it, but it's hot. It's hot. You got to get on these calls at night. There's hundreds of people on there, and they'll explain it much better than I can. So deflect the question back to your excitement or their excitement in the business, and because people are going to go to where the excitement is and where the energy level is, and at the beginning you really can't explain it. It's hard to explain at the beginning because it's virtual in somebody's mind. Most people are not exposed to something like this, so it's a little bit difficult to get them to internalize and visualize what we're talking about unless they see it or hear it from somebody that's a little more seasoned in the business. So when people are getting started in the business and you sign up people, get them to introduce people to these different mechanisms we have as quickly as possible. If they wait a week or two, I got to tell you, 80% of the time they're gone. They're not going to do it because they're waiting too long, and that energy and that excitement is going to start to dissipate. Baseball, my favorite sport. I love it. So, yeah, the energy is going to dissipate. So you got to get them engaged and get them their first sign-up or two as quickly as possible. Get their phone to ring, having the auto system call them and say, hey, you have someone who's going to pay you. That in itself is the most powerful thing you could possibly do to them, is to get their phone to ring and have somebody send them $25. Because if that doesn't make it real for them, I don't know what will. All right? All right? So they're going to see everything in action. They're going to see what you've been telling them in action. And they're like, wow, $25. So the fastest that can happen, the better. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go out and place people underneath them. Just hit a nice sunny spot here, nice and warm. It's actually really brisk out today. I mean, in May, it feels like October. So you got to do that. You got to get them to have that first success as quick as possible. And maybe, hey, you have, I don't believe in giving people away. It's just my philosophy. But in some cases, you find one who finds one, and that gets them to $25, right? That gets them the break-even level. But you got to get that phone to ring as quickly as possible. And that'll internalize it in that one part where they have that phone ring, somebody sends them $25. Now, that 80%, they're gone. In 2 weeks, if they don't do anything, turns into 90% they're going to stay, right? That is one killer spot to do. One killer thing to do to get them to do that. Now, that takes effort, of course, and you as the leader, as the sponsor, have to guide them through that startup process, and you have to call them and get them rolling, right? And maybe guide them through the first few days and hold them accountable to their business. When I'm in the Marine Corps, as a sergeant in the Marine Corps, we're held accountable, for what we do. We're held accountable for our decisions, our actions, and in business, it's the same thing. If you're not making the money you want to make, you have no one else to blame but yourself. You can't blame the company. You can't blame your upline, and I hear it all the time. Not necessarily with Ultimate Cycler. That's happened, of course. But in 22 years in the business, I hear it all the time. Oh, my sponsor brought me in and they didn't do this or they didn't do that, and oh, the company had this or something happened here or something happened there, and oh, it's this, and oh, I had this problem and that problem. Go to the overview section of the main website for Ultimate Cycler, look at the testimonials that are on there. You have people that went in the hospital and made money. People with no arms, no legs, no arms made money. So, if they would have let those issues stop them, which certainly could have been a valid excuse, right? They didn't, and they're making money. So if they can do it, why can't you? That's why we put those testimonials on there, and they're real. Why can't you, with whatever issues you have, do it? Well, there's no one holding you back but yourself, right? You are the X factor in this business, in any network marketing business. You. Right? Remember when you're pointing your finger at somebody, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you? Well, it's the same thing in network marketing. It's 95% is you and no one else, right? So you overcome those different things, and that goes back to what I talked about earlier about belief and all that kind of stuff. So getting started is important at the beginning. So you're teaching your person to duplicate at the beginning, because at the beginning, your goal is to be able to get them up to speed where they can become a leader of their own group, and you can cut them loose, right? So then this way you don't have to sit there and do all the little things to get them started, because they're self-sufficient at that point. Because you want them to be self-sufficient. You want them to be the leader of their own group. I love this area as well. I don't think I'm going to get around here. So you want them to be a leader of their own group, so that this way, now they're creating their own team, because at some point, I hate to say the word, but you can't babysit people forever. We catch crayfish down here, believe it or not, in Manhattan. With my kids, I catch crayfish down there. I couldn't believe it when we first did it, but I never thought there was crayfish in New York City, but there is. So, all right, back to my story. I hope you guys are enjoying this. It's almost like Ultimate Cycler Uncut, right? I love those purple trees as well. Just great stuff. And, of course, you're going to have to cut them loose eventually, so this way they can be the captain of their own ship. We're going on a bike race today in Central Park, and this is actually going up into Harlem, the Harlem area, 125th Street, Spanish Harlem, and so on. Now let's talk about making bigger money, the bigger picture here. And maybe coming from me, it'll be a little different than coming from some of the other leaders, but essentially the same thing. This is a one-time payment program, okay? Now we do have that residual element, which is very, very key in your success, and it comes back to what I mentioned before, which is duplication and leading by example, right? Let me get myself run over here. So, because the residual element, although it's a one-time payment program, it starts from you teaching your people to duplicate. And as those people duplicate, they're going to cycle back underneath you, which is, in effect, your residual. So how many times do you want that residual? How many times do you want that residual? Well, let's say that you sponsor John Smith. And he's a go-getter, and you got him started right, and he's starting the business, and he cycles quickly in the program. Well, that's 1 month residual, right? That's 1 month. You made $25 as he came back underneath you. Well, a normal residual means you're paying once a month, which is drafted by the company and pays you a commission, right? And that's once a month, which is great. I love residual. So I don't think I can go this way, so I'm going to have to turn around here. So that's once a month. And another thing about residuals, when someone asks me, oh, is this a one-time payment, or this is a monthly payment, oh, I hate auto ships, oh, I hate monthlies. Why do you hate monthlies? Just think about that for a second. Why would you, as a business builder, hate a monthly payment? Well, at least the only way I can see is because you're thinking about it as a consumer and not an entrepreneur. Think about that for a moment. If you're a business builder and you're building your business, why wouldn't you want to pay every month into an auto ship? Right? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Well, the reason why is because you're thinking not as a business builder, entrepreneur, but as a consumer. And what's the consumer mentality? When I buy things, they don't create income for me. That's the consumer mentality. Because you buy stuff, right? What do you buy? You buy stuff. You know, you go out and take your money and you spend it on stuff. Stuff that doesn't create you money, but it causes you to deplete your assets, and you want your assets to create you money. But as an entrepreneur, you want your assets to create you money. So you want to look at that $25 as something that's going to create you much more than $25, right? Or the residual or the monthly that's going to be creating you much more than the money you're putting out. So that's my point. Now let's go into quickly the levels that we have here and how people have made some serious money in the program. Well, they've gotten up to those upper levels as quickly as possible so that this way they can take advantage of the leverage of those different levels and lead by example and have their members do the same thing, thus creating more 25s, more 50s, more 100s, more 200s, more 400s, and my goodness, when you get to the 800s, more 800s. So it's important that you do that if you want to create the bigger money in the program. I mean, if you're happy with a few $100s a month or something like that, it's fine. But if you're looking for the bigger money in the program, you have to go into those upper levels. There's no two ways about it. And the sooner you do that to create your story to go up to those upper levels, the better it's going to be, because you'll be able to tell your people that this was your story, and a lot of those people will duplicate just because it is your story. Maybe not all of them, but maybe 30%, 40% will duplicate what you do, and as they do that, they in turn will create faster money for you, more money for them, and everyone concerned, because they're duplicating that method. So I'm going down a quite steep place here. So that's the cycling aspect, and going up to the upper levels as quickly as possible, which is very important that you do that if you're looking to create the larger money, because that's how the leaders did it. I love this area too. It's a little waterfall down here, especially early in the morning when there's not that many people here. Oh, my little mini pincher's just jumping off of everything. There she is. Hey. So, so you create that story so that this way you can have that story, because you only have one chance to create the story, right? If your story is, okay, I waited till I cycled and I went up, and I waited till I cycled and I went up, that type of thing, well, that's fine. But that will cause your people to do the same thing, many of them. But if your story is, hey, I jumped in, I jumped up to the 50, jumped up to 100, and so on as quickly as possible, and I did that, I didn't wait till I cycled to do that, and I just did it. And that's what the majority of your people will do, because that's your story, right? You only have one chance to create a story, and a positive story, and an energetic story, and a positive story, and that's what you got to do if you want to make the bigger money. Let's take a look over here. You gotta love the sound of running water, don't you? It just does something to you. You sit over here in the morning when there's nobody around, and you just meditate and relax and think about things and how your day is going to go, and it's just great. Hopefully you have a place like that around where you live, that you can take advantage of that. Let me just turn around. My dog's wrapping me up in the leash. So, but that's about it, guys. I talked about a lot of things today. Hopefully some of the items I talked about will help you. And don't let the fact that I'm just walking around here make you think that what I'm talking about is not important. But it really is important. And I just wanted to give you a different perspective other than, a classroom setting.